Then two, definitely we've had good thoughts from all our speakers today, and the question is on how do we support these trainings. We are talking about facilitating advocacy at a national level, and we are seeing the challenge of financial support. Especially this one is directed to you, Mr. Momani. How do we mobilize now beyond this stage of Nairobi University? I believe this should be our second engagement with Nairobi University on matters youth peace and security in Kenya. How do we come up with a better strategy to best address the issue that we are facing as a challenge, especially in terms of finance? Thank you. And I'll pass the microphone to speakers.
Thank you. So the speakers will also answer as quickly as possible. I want to quickly touch on the questions. One was the issue of suicide. In 2015, 2016, we had a spate of suicides in Ghana's university campuses. Students started hanging themselves. People were jumping from 8th floor. People were hanging themselves, poisoning themselves for reasons like my girlfriend left me, for reasons like I didn't pass my paper. Some of it we didn't even know why, and so we could just speculate. For some reason, the problem stopped, and that is more dangerous because right now we do not know why it stopped. It was not socially diagnosed for the why, and the problem has stopped. So we do not even know whether we dealt with it by accident. A lot of interventions were made, and we don't know which one of them worked. I must be very honest with you. But having a community helps in these matters. It's very unlikely for someone who has a stable community. And by community, I'm not just talking about where you live. I'm talking about the people you associate with. Having a healthy community. Some communities are just toxic and will drive you to even want to kill yourself more. You are better off without them. But having a community you can rely on, having someone to talk to. Yesterday, Madam Patience was saying that nothing that has happened is so bad that you need to end it. And we need to be, it starts from us. I can give them and you are all going to say, oh, there are facilities available, you can talk to someone. It starts from us. You've seen there's a problem. You are Mr. UN. You can make suicide prevention campaign your mandate. Let somebody talk to somebody. And be careful about those who are like me. They are the more dangerous people. The people who are very outgoing. You think because they are talking about something important. They are not talking. They are best at keeping things to themselves. Every time, and that's from my personal experience, every time the quiet ones get all the attention because they are quiet. But the loud ones are dealing with a lot of secret problems. And they are the people who are incapable of taking public shame because they are all over the place. So they know that anything that happens to them, everybody will know. We are all colleagues here, right? One of the things that can drive a girl to suicide, let's say a girl's sex tape comes out. First thing is to end it all. But take the very loud girl and the very quiet girl. The very quiet girl, people are watching it and still do not know who it is. But the loud girl knows that everybody now knows that it's her. So, yes, sometimes attention is disproportionately given to the quiet ones. I'm not saying we should not give them attention. I'm saying let's try and pay attention to those who are all over the place. Femicide. Kenya, I think when I was with the All Africa Students Union, University of Nairobi happens to be a member of the All Africa Students Union. And when I was with the All Africa Students Union, I started as the political affairs officer. And so I was dealing with the security issues and femicide became a major thing. And it was even happening in university campuses from the reports that we were receiving. That's why the Students Union had to take it up. All we could do was write statements and all of that. But why kill them? Are you killing them because you want to kill, or you are killing them because they are women? Or because you can? Then you are a coward. If you can kill a woman and you cannot kill a man, then you are just displaying your cowardice. I think it still comes down to being each other's keeper. Let's watch out for each other. And those who have a tendency to do so, don't. I think we can strengthen the criminal regime, the justice regime. That's one thing. That serves as a deterrent. And then we can also look at the underlying causes. So that's a cure, but can we look at prevention? Is there a place that is prone to that? So, for example, we were not having femicide, but we were having females in our university campuses being mugged. When they go and study at night from the lecture halls and all of that, and they are going to their hostels, because they are females, they were easy prey, their phones were being collected, sometimes someone would slash them with a knife. We never got to the point of someone killing them. In the case of femicide, it normally happens typically from an intimate partner. Someone who knows them, someone you trust, because they sometimes put themselves in a trusted space, in a vulnerable place with the said perpetrator. But when it happens, like they were walking down the street and they were attacked, that's a different matter and has to. So we need to divide and manage the issue well. Requirements for applying for Kofi Annan courses. You can apply for a course. Every course has its own requirements. So the one who applied for protection of civilians will notice that it had a different set of requirements than Inspiring Women Leaders course. And even from the name, you realize that the requirements will be different. So if we are doing a program to train young leaders on advocacy and policy making, of course we are looking for young leaders. So most of your application and the questions we'll be asking you will be trying to ascertain whether or not you fit, or because we don't throw the training out there. But there are trainings that are also for everybody. For example, cybersecurity. Everybody needs cybersecurity. So that you can apply. But if the training is sponsored, then we are very strict at who, and that's what when it becomes very competitive. If the commandant was here, he would have told you that almost all our training programs are sponsored. So once you are selected for a program, madam, for the Inspiring Africa Leaders Conference, you realize that it was sponsored. Yeah. So you would have been flown in, you would have been accommodated, you would have been fed and flown back. And you would have been trained at no fee. So naturally, you are not the only one who has seen it. Other people have seen it, and that's when it becomes competitive. We are trying to commercialize a few of our courses, and once that is done, it then comes to ability to pay. So those are some of the dynamics we look at. Treaty enforcement. Treaties remain treaties until you domesticate them. That is why Daniel mentions that they are working on the development of a national action plan. 2250 have been there since 2015. We are in the 9th year, and only 2 African countries have national action plans. Unless you make it part of your national policies, unless you make it part of your national laws, it is still an ideal, it's still an aspiration, but you need to find a way to domesticate it. So they've decided on something general, but the Kenyan context might not be the Ghanaian context. So Kenya will have to say, for this participation, protection, prevention, partnership, disengagement, and reintegration, this is how we are going to go about it. Your issues, particularly when it comes to disengagement and reintegration, might be different from that of Ghana. Some countries are looking at a whole of country approach because they are just coming from a post-conflict scene. Take DRC. They will take, because they have a national action plan, they will take disengagement and reintegration differently from, say, Ghana, where we have pockets of violence in certain parts of the country. So we would rather have IDPs instead of refugees. So all of these have to be thought of. Government, CSO, yes ma'am.
I wanted to highlight a bit of that. I think in our lobbying and in our advocacy, we need to also press to our governments and our donor partners the importance of getting some of these treaties, frameworks, implemented and adapted. And let's be honest, it's money. And so until governments commit to, funding the development of, some of these frameworks at the national levels, it's not going to get done. So I think our advocacy sometimes needs to be targeted, where we, advocate for our governments and government institutions responsible for the implementation of some of these treaties, frameworks, to make sure that they are they put the monies where their mouths are, because they go and sign on to some of these treaties, come back, fold their arms, and think the donor partners will come in and give them money to do that. So we need to do targeted advocacy around some of these issues and make sure that we commit them to fund this process. So that's all I wanted to add.
And in addition, we need to look at a bottom-up approach. Daniel mentions that, David mentions that, I love Daniel. Can I call you Daniel? David mentions that they did a policy, took it to the government, and now we have a national youth policy. Sometimes, because it doesn't, actually, the status quo favors them. We need the change. So we can drive political will. We have to find where they need us. They need us to vote. They need us to pay our taxes. They need us to go to work. Strikes have been called over the payment of taxes.